Hi everyone, and welcome to Classical Singing Made Simple. I'm Maddie Hendricks, the classically trained coloratura soprano, making classical singing more fun, interesting, and exciting for all. And today we are continuing our Braille Music Monday series with something very important, I think. Braille music myths. Because wow, there are a lot of them. And honestly, I completely understand why. Most people have actually never seen Braille music before, and many sighted musicians have never really been taught how Braille music actually works. So today, we are busting some of the biggest misconceptions I hear all the time about Braille music. Let's get started. Okay, myth number 1. Braille music is just print music in Braille. No. No guys, sorry, this is probably one of the biggest misconceptions about Braille music. Braille music is not raised print sheet music, raised staff notation. You cannot take a PDF of print sheet music, run it through a Braille embosser, and magically get readable Braille music. Sorry guys, that'd be really easy, but unfortunately that is not how it works. Braille music is its own code. Braille music is an entirely separate Braille code system with its own rules, symbols, and formatting structure for reading conventions that blind musicians have to learn first, and then there are ways to get Braille music transcribed. But unfortunately, Braille music is not the same as print music at all. Unlike print music, where pitch and rhythm are visually notated on a staff, Braille music combines information through symbols, and it's read line by line. So yes, literary Braille and music Braille are related in that everything a print music reader understands, a Braille music reader can understand, but they are different, very, very different systems in that one is very visual and one is, you're looking literally at symbols that represent pitches, rhythms, dynamics, key signatures, time signatures, all the things. So this system, it can seem like a lot to process at first, especially for beginners. But honestly, once the code is learned, blind musicians really fit right in with their sighted colleagues. Okay, myth number 2. Blind musicians just learn everything by ear. Okay, now this one is a little bit complicated because yes, many musicians do develop very solid listening skills and absolutely learn by recording sometimes. I learned music by ear fully growing up. I did not know how to read music, and I absolutely still do listen to recordings today as a professional singer. But there's a huge difference between learning a piece by ear and having independent music literacy skills. And in professional classical music settings, things move very, very, very fast, and I learned that kind of the hard way, especially in choir work. And the music, it can be very, very complicated, very musically complex. And in the professional world, no one really sits down and teaches you your notes in a professional choir rehearsal measure by measure. You're expected to really learn independently and sight read very proficiently and prepare difficult music very, very quickly and really function fully within the rehearsal. And so that's why Braille music matters so much to me. Not because learning by ear is bad, because certainly it does come in handy, especially when you can't get something transcribed into Braille quick enough. But literacy creates independence, and that's what I'm all about. Okay, myth number 3. This one's interesting. Blind musicians read full orchestral or choral scores. Oh boy, usually this is a no. And honestly, this is what maybe surprises people about Braille music the most. Because Braille, in general, takes up so much more physical space on the page than print. You've got volumes and volumes and volumes of books, volumes of textbooks, and music Braille takes up quite a bit of space as well. So yeah, it's very, very spatially, takes up a lot of space. Also, tactile reading is very different from visual reading, where someone can easily scan a piece of music quickly. Proficient print sight reader can scan very quickly, but tactile reading takes a bit more time. So due to space and due to the time, the time that Braille music takes to transcribe and also, read for the Braille musician, most blind musicians are not reading giant conductor style scores with every part happening simultaneously. So usually when someone's in a choir or in a band or in an orchestra, music is transcribed by individual part. So for example, I'll just give you a real life example from my career so far. I sing Handel's Messiah a lot, and if I'm singing Handel's Messiah, I'm gonna go to Bard, the Braille audio reading download site from the National Library Service, and I'm just gonna download the soprano volume, or in this case, Messiah soprano volumes. It's in 2 volumes. Not the alto, not the tenor, not the bass, not the piano reduction, but just the soprano book, which includes my choral parts as well as the solos. And yes, giant full scores do exist in Braille. Just a quick story time. I once downloaded Beethoven's 3rd Symphony, the Eroica Symphony, for a music history class in graduate school. And it came in 5 separate volumes. It was the full orchestral score, 5 separate books, and print pages 3 through 8 alone became 50 Braille pages. 50. So truly massive, truly massive. So when people imagine blind musicians like casually flipping through giant embossed Braille scores, yeah, that normally doesn't happen. I'm like, oh my gosh, that'd be terrifying. Yeah, so normally it's done part by part, and that makes it a lot easier to read for the blind musician. Okay, myth number 4. Blind musicians don't need Braille music if they have perfect pitch. I feel like this could go for any musician, sighted musicians as well, who have perfect pitch. Okay, this one is interesting, right? Because perfect pitch is not the same thing as music literacy. And perfect pitch can help with identifying notes, identifying identifying what key a piece is in, hearing intervals, definitely memorization. But it does not replace rhythmic reading, score study, structural understanding of the music, which is, when we get into collegiate level music theory courses, it gets super, super important to understand this. An independent preparation when there is no recording, or your part is deep within a thick texture of music, or navigating large amounts of complex repertoire very, very quickly. And as someone who has perfect pitch, I can confidently and boldly say that rhythm is often the bigger challenge for me. can hear keys and tonal centers and hear modulations and hear my part, pitch-wise very easily. But I often have to work on rhythm a bit more. I have to work on really feeling the pulse, continuing a steady tempo, especially when there are changes in meter, changes in time signature. I recently worked on a piece that was in 2/4 and then changed to 3/4 and then 5/8 and then 2/2 and then back to 5/8 and then back to 2/4 and back to 3/4 and so on. And oh gosh, it was very, very complicated, but I really had to work on keeping that steady tempo and just really feeling the internal pulse within my body. So and that's where Braille music can come in really, really handy. So for me personally, I work a little less on solfege or scale degree numbers, which are great systems for pitch accuracy, and a little bit more on count singing. So literally singing the beats of the music, and then of course putting it on the text. So a little less solfege, a little more count singing. That's my motto these days. So you can have excellent pitch perception and still really need strong reading skills. Okay, this myth might be the most interesting of all, and I'm very curious to hear everyone's thoughts on it. Braille music is just for blind musicians. Actually, no. Sighted people can also learn to read Braille music, and so Braille is a code, and deciphering the dots can take some time and practice and patience, but it actually definitely can be done by both blind and sighted people. And as a Braille music teacher myself at the moment, all of my students are blind and have experience with Braille, but I actually think it'd be super cool to teach a sighted musician how to read Braille music. I think I'd be most fascinated to learn which is easier. Maybe there are pros and cons to both, print and Braille music, but I'd be very curious to see the differences between what's easier and what's hard as far as Braille versus print music. For an experienced print music reader. So I'm very curious to maybe talk about that in future videos. And then also one final thought along those lines. Can you learn Braille music if you're a TVI, a teacher of the visually impaired, unfamiliar with music in general? And to that I say yes, absolutely. If you teach blind students the regular Braille code, that goes letters, Nemeth Braille for math, contracted, uncontracted, UEB, right, all the things. I argue that Braille music could be a part of that learning process too. So yeah, absolutely, Braille music is possible for anyone, and some non-musician TVIs, teachers of the visually impaired, may feel intimidated by it at first, but trust me, you don't have to become a theory professor or anything, because yeah, it's totally possible. So stay tuned for a video on that later in the series. But for now, Braille music education is for everyone, and so I honestly, guys, to close this video, I could make 20, 30 more videos on Braille music myths alone, because accessibility in music is something most people maybe don't get exposed to. But I hope that this gives you a little glimpse into how blind musicians actually learn, read, and work with Braille music professionally. And we are just getting started, because next we're gonna talk about how Braille music actually works, resources for learning it, technology, auditions, rehearsals, preparing as a professional musician, asking for accommodations in professional environments, and real world music preparation as a blind classical singer. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all in the next Braille Music Monday video.